Hi there, and welcome to my second video showcasing my creations for Black Mesa. So this level is C2A5H, which is the second half of C2A5F, the map I previously showcased in my last video. I've tried to stick to the same redesigning principle where I'm changing a fair amount whilst staying true to the spirit that the original map demonstrated. Again, I've tried to make the focus on the fights between the HEC and the aliens because it was something that I thought Black Mesa lacked. Right, so it starts off with a very different theme already to the original. It's much darker. This Vortigaunt standing by the health charger is actually supposed to be doing something, but I couldn't quite get it to work just yet. So this is the infamous alien grunt throwing the marine through a wall. I tried to make it a bit more brutal than the original. So, as per what some of the forum users suggested and what they were requesting, I tried to add a few areas where there's xenofauna sort of growing organically on the walls and the ceiling. Because it was like that in the original, although a bit less subtle. So I'm going to let this big battle speak for itself. I made quite a few changes based on feedback, but it's mostly similar to my previous version. I think the mantas look a lot better now. So as you can see, the aliens tend to win these fights. They're like the other ones on my previous map. They're semi-scripted. They will appear at the same time always, and they will fight one another mostly. But the aliens normally win, and what happens during the fight is determined by what their AI wants to do, rather than anything I've set. And as you can see on this playthrough in particular, the aliens murdered the Marines, they completely annihilated them. So I'm left fighting a large group of them. Normally they wipe each other out to one or two aliens remain, but this time it's different. So one way this is different from the previous version of the fight that I uploaded is that there's a third phase to the battle, which occurs once you get round to this sort of area. I tried really hard to make it look like there was a big war going on, and the battle is bigger than Mr. Freeman here, and I hope that's worked. So this is another chance to experience the joy that is the 50 cal Black Mesa, and I do say that as sarcastically as possible. So you can see I've used this opportunity to expand both outwards and upwards in terms of my level design. I've tried to expand on the original and make it just fit the themes that were set by the Black Mesa team a bit better. So this is the area you eventually want to end up once you've rescued the Barney. It's later on in the level. And I've moved the alien jump pad from the centre of the main street to here to make the to accommodate the larger fight which occurs in my version compared to the original. So the original version of this scene featured you jumping straight up onto the roof, but I took the liberty to add a small area here because I could, to keep things more interesting for veterans and to hopefully spice things up a little. Shock horror, zombies return. So the ladder in this next area is rather sloppily implemented. It was just a quick way of getting the player onto the roof. I'm hoping to find a more interesting way that makes sense to get the player onto the roof in the future. So here's another one of those little semi-scripted fights. I let the player observe it from more of a distance than the previous one. It's a smaller skirmish. It's roughly half and half. The humans sometimes win and the aliens sometimes win. So here's another thing I added to keep it interesting and a bit more exciting. And the sniper, I feel, gives the map a great sense of urgency. So you can't just leisurely walk about on the roof. The player feels a bit tense. And you know, it's called surface tension. So you have to quickly open the hatch and then jump down it for the famous satchel pipe scene, which I hope I've done justice in this version. The water here is a little bit bugged. It doesn't display properly when you're above it for some reason, but it's a bug that only recently occurred, and I'm hoping that I can fix it for future versions. Well, I can. It's Probably something to do with viz rendering. So I think that had a good combination of early warning, so you know that you need to back away quickly and get in the water, and surprise. It was quite surprising in the original, and it is here. The shadowing error there is due to misaligned light maps, which is something that's time-consuming to fix, but I know how to do it, and I definitely can for future versions. So this is the furnace room, which is fairly different from the original. I made it much smaller because the original Half-Life version didn't really make much sense. It's just a big open room with a furnace sitting in the middle. And you know, that makes a lot less sense than a small room with a furnace sitting in the middle. So here's the pipe you want to go through, but you open it and, shock horror, there's fire bursting out of it. So the player will be wondering, well, why is that? And follow the pipes and, oh look, it's a giant raging furnace. So you have to try and figure out a way to turn it off. Yeah, I figured introducing a puzzle here, well not really a puzzle, but just a slightly slower sequence might help to break up the action a little bit and give it a better ebb and flow. So you disable these two valves, which disables 2 of the 3 fires, but then you have to block the gas outlet with some barrels, because the fire's still burning, of course. It's a little inconsistent at the moment, it doesn't... not perfect, but it does the job. I'm hoping in the future to make it a bit clearer as to what the players have to do. So now you head into this pipe, like you did in the original, but this one's very dark. So this is the blue pipe that you use the jump pad to jump onto, only now you're inside it, so I figured it tied the level together quite nicely to have that. And now you come up into the Gasworks, which is a complete reimagining of the original area where you came out from the pipe. Because the original area really didn't make much sense, and it didn't fit much. So you can see the HEC have been butchered by these aliens, so I'm trying to give the impression that they're starting to lose this war with the aliens, and that it's getting a little bit hopeless for them. Which is something that Black Mesa really lacked, I thought. Although it obviously was incredible in many other areas. So you down this front, and you have to try and figure out where to go from here. You can see the red light shows that that's off. The red lights actually play quite an important part on this map, dictating which areas open and which close, and I hope it gives the player a sense of where they need to be going, which is actually in there, but as you can see it's locked. And later on, when you get the Barney to unlock all the security systems, the ones which you can follow turn green, which hopefully prevents the player from getting too lost trying to go through areas which he thinks might be unlocked but aren't. So you have to climb up here to get to that door. And there's a little jumping puzzle, nothing too sophisticated, nothing fantastic. Avoid the blindingly hot jets of steam. I made it so they do enough damage so that you don't really want to run through them, but if you get frustrated with the jumping, you can. It's all very simple, really. Just look at where the gas is and you can find the way around it without much difficulty at all. Again, it just breaks up the action a little bit. Because my two maps have been very action-oriented. There's actually supposed to be jets of fire here, but they didn't display on the demo for some reason. They were displaying when I was playing it. As you can see, the jumps aren't that difficult. You can mess them up, but it's not really too difficult. So that door's locked. But as I was looking earlier, I know that there's a way around through some open windows on that pipe. And I just quickly cheat to get back up. So I've put a little player clip invisible wall along here so that it's quite difficult to fall off. So it's not frustrating. As you can see, there's been a massive fight going on here, and there's one lone survivor.
Oh, finally. Someone who ain't trying to kill me. You ain't trying to kill me too, right? Right, okay.
So the choreography I used here was cut choreography from Black Mesa that was intended to be there but wasn't. And that's why it doesn't fit perfectly, although for the purposes of testing it's okay. You can see the animation is not that smooth, and he doesn't flow very well.
It's a good thing we ran into each other.
I'm hoping to rectify this in future, either by smoothing it out or creating my own custom one.
Now I just hope those Lambda boys were smart enough to bring some beer. Ain't that right, buddy?
So he unlocks all the doors for you with his main security system. It's pretty different from the original. In the original version, you had to escort him to the door.
Yeah, we
But
might
it was
stand a
really
better
unclear
chance
as to
if
what
we
you had to
team
do,
up.
and I'm hoping that it's a bit clearer here. You see all the green lights, you just know to follow them. It's fairly logical and intuitive, I think. You don't have to make him come with you, but I chose to because they're actually quite helpful in this game. As you can see, we massacre those forts.
Got another one. That was close.
And then you see a downed Apache, which obviously crashed while you were inside. You could hear it in the background if I turned the volume up a bit more, but while you're in game, you notice it. Definitely.
You guys can't hear jack shit.
No, they can't. So I'm probably going to have to move that a bit so the player can actually see that one of these lights has turned very green, meaning that door's unlocked. So again, I'm hoping it makes it very clear that the player has to go this way now because Barney's unlocked it for you. So this is where this level ends. You go into here and it enters a loading screen. In the original, you went through into a parking garage and there was the Gargantua chase began immediately, but I'm going to have you jump up to there with the jump pad.
I'd feel a lot better if you reloaded.
I hope that's it, really. And don't tell me to reload.